One day in Newcastle, there was an incident between two people who had never met before. Their actions changed each other's lives forever. During this incident, the young person inflicted life-changing injuries on the victim. This impacted both physically and emotionally on the victim, including the way he speaks. This is an example of how restorative justice can help victims and young people understand the impact of serious violence.
I was really outgoing. I'd often get the bus to places like Newcastle. I was an all-round person type guy, you know what I mean? I would help anyone. I would give me flout that I had if they were homeless or, I would take them in.
Was always in trouble. He even got expelled from school for helping someone who was getting bullied. He helped these people. He was always a good heart, always had a good heart, and always looked after the underdog. He was a good kid.
Wasn't the best, like, it was like, yeah, I'd just walk in the house, get hit, pretty much do anything wrong. I was hit, sent to my room. If it wasn't from my parents, it was like my brothers, sisters. Some nights I'd roam the streets and I couldn't get in the house. Wouldn't get fed for a couple of days and that. I was under investigation from social for neglect and that. And then my mum had the stroke and that one morning, and that's when it like got her put in the care because of the reason she couldn't look after her. And then I went to like a naughty lad school, and obviously there was people more like me like kicking off all the time and that. So I thought like I'd had to join in and that. So I was doing like all sorts with them, getting excluded. Like, there was times where I didn't do a Monday there for like a year or so. I was always excluded, getting into power and that at the place.
This young person came to the youth offending team, if I remember right, I think it was on what we call an out-of-court disposal at the time. And then he progressed on a referral order when he came to us for another offence committed, again, in the local area.
I had to do a couple months of yacht, which was when I first met Joey at the time. He was trying to help us really and keep us away from all that. Like just telling us like what bad happens if like I'd done this and what I'd done and that.
Tell them about consequences. Tell them what can happen if they continue offending, how it can affect them, their future life chances, how it affects the people it affects, i.e. the victims and the wider community. That's the work we do with them fundamentally.
When I got put into care, I didn't go out, nothing, didn't speak to none of my mates and that. Then I started like going around with my mates again and like we were doing like bigger like crimes and stuff. That was like a lot worse.
I can't remember just before it happened or just after.
I was just walking down the street and seeing a bloke. Like looked from the way I was, like people were telling me that and how it looked for me, and she was pushing him away. So I obviously stepped in and says, "Listen, leave her alone." That, and he was a big stocky bloke at the time, so he just looked at us and laughed and that.
The CCTV footage shows me helping a girl who was homeless, and I was just helping her with her stuff over the road. And these lads, I don't know what they were doing, but I don't know if they were being nasty or what, I don't know. I was just helping her to get away from them. And then the next thing I just got punched.
And I landed a punch on him and he just like stopped and hit the floor.
She just said, "Can you please come with us? He's had an accident and we need you to come with us to the RVI." And when we got there, I went straight up and then I seen it was critical care, and I just knew it was something really bad. And when I went in, it just looked like he was asleep, but he had bolts in his head where they'd operated to relieve the pressure off his brain. I wouldn't want any mother to go through what I went through.
I was in hospital just waking up, not being able to walk. I was ready to kill myself because I wasn't able to walk or talk. I was just so fed up.
And then one day I got a phone call. I was on my way to go to work, and he phoned me and said, "Mum, I just want you to know I love you and thank you." And I knew there was something not right, and I tried to keep him on the phone and try and find my work phone to phone the hospital to say get in there. But I couldn't get, I was panicking that much that I actually said, "Put the phone down, I'll phone you back. I've just got to get something." And I phoned the hospital and said, "Please get in the room, he's going to do something." And sure enough, they ran in. And he'd got it all ready to hang himself.
My mum has helped us massively because I can't do anything myself. I can't walk the properly how I'm supposed to. I can't talk. I need everything done for me, my meals, shower. I just need every last detail needs attention. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do anything if it was for other people. I nearly died. I'm glad I never. I was told who it was, and they've caught him. And I said, "Well, I want to meet him." He was just a young lad, and I asked if I could meet him.
I got involved with the victim of this offence because the young person was referred to Gateshead Youth Justice Service by the courts for a serious assault on the victim. Because of the severe nature and the life-changing injuries sustained by the victim, I initially got the officer in charge of the case to get permission for me to contact. And then I made contact in the first instance with the victim's mum. The victim at the time was in a care home. He had life-changing injuries, and I needed to make sure that it was suitable for me to attend to see him either on my own or with mum, which was the reason I made contact with mum first.
So when all the time that this all happened and while I was going through all this, I wanted to know why. Because I thought to myself, if I'm face to face with him, I'm quite a good judge of character, and I would be able to tell if he was remorseful or not. I didn't want to hear it from a police officer telling me, "Oh, he's remorseful." So I needed to speak to him face to face. So I said, yes, I'll do it.
So mum and I met and went and spoke to Wayne. In that initial meeting, he said what he didn't remember. He really wanted to understand what had happened. He had no memory of that day about what had happened, and he wanted closure.
I just wanted some insight and closure to what he'd actually done. So I asked if I could meet him. And Angela and Julia sat up so I could meet him.
And I did ask him what closure meant to him. And for him, he said closure was understanding what had happened and why it had happened.
Well, he ruined life in more ways than one. So I just wanted to meet him just to let him know the damage he can cause. Just put my family through torture.
The young person that caused the harm was in custody. I arranged a custody visit to go down and see him. But when he came out and I was talking to him when he was in custody, there was a lot of shrugging. There didn't seem genuine remorse. He was smiling and sort of, well, whatever kind of attitude at that point. And I did at that point say to him quite firmly that I would not proceed with a face-to-face meeting, regardless of what the courts had said. unless I was happy that there was genuine remorse coming from him and that this was going to be a positive experience for the victim and for his mum. And he'd suddenly, at that point, he did actually completely change, just momentarily. And he said, no, I want to do it. I think about what I've done every day.
During the custodial phase, our victim worker went to see him, and because he did indicate that he'd want to go through the restorative process with the victim, so our victim worker went to custody to see him, to prepare him for when he came out to go through the restorative conference. So that was takes a lot for somebody to do that. It takes a lot for somebody to accept what they've done and want to try and put it right for the victim who has questions as to, like, why me? Why am I like this?
Obviously, I got out of jail and that, and the day of Jerry coming to pick us up to take us to see him, didn't think much of it. Then when I got in the car and got closer to the location where we were meeting, like, I started getting a bit scared, like overthinking and that.
I met the victim and his mum and took them up to the room. Once we were settled in the room, then the young person arrived with his case manager who'd brought him over. And he phoned up to say, we're outside, let me know when you want us to come up. I prepared the victim and mum to say he's outside, are you happy for us to bring him in? And we brought him in.
I got into the room and he came in a wheelchair and it just hit us all of a sudden. Seen him in that state and like, I nearly cried a few times actually, like speaking to him and like listening to like how like his mum and that has to look after him and that, like really hit us badly, like.
And he just looked so scared, and I really felt for him. I just thought, you're just a child. You're a child, you know, and you've not ruined your life, but he's going to have it on his record for the rest of his life. And I remember him coming around the table and Wayne looking as well, and Wayne just said to him, "Are you all right, mate?"
Just put him at ease because he was nervous. So I just put him at ease and said, "Are you all right, mate?" And I put my hand out and he shook my hand.
And I was just so proud of him because I thought, all that we've been through, and you can do that. And the lad said, "I'm sorry." I remember Wayne saying, "That's all I needed to hear. That's all I've ever wanted to hear."
I just got clothes off meeting him and putting it to bed, you know what I mean? Because I couldn't, what's the word, accept what had happened to us. I didn't know what happened. I need to understand what had happened.
He was like trying to like remember, because he couldn't remember much before that, before the punch, where he couldn't, like, he was asking us questions and that. And then it was like just saying how like he needs like 24/7 care, and his mum's like had to quit a job and everything to look after him and be there for him and that.
At that point, I go back to the young person that's caused the harm to see if there's anything he wants to say. And at that point, he again apologised. And the victim and mum both accepted that apology. And it was really quite an emotional meeting. And mum, towards the end of the meeting, did say, just learn from this, do something with your life.
I just want him to reflect on what he's done and hopefully change his lifestyle, you know, just change things. Don't go around with these people, because obviously he was. Just sit back, reflect, because he's been lucky, because this could have been a murder charge. Even when I met him, I said to him, I don't want him to wake up every day thinking, oh God, I've done this to Wayne. The way you can help us is to make your life better.
And as the meeting finished, she hugged the young person that had caused the harm. And that was massively impactful, I think, for everybody there that witnessed that.
The fact that he had a difficult background and he was brought up in care, that got us, you know what I mean? I felt empathy for him.
I felt a lot better, like some weight off my shoulder and that. It felt really good, like, to actually meet him and apologise to him.
It really did help me, and I know it helped Wayne, and I do think it helped because he's completely took a different road from what I can gather, and that's all Wayne said to him when he was going. All Wayne said to him was, do well.
My advice would be like, don't get involved in someone else's like situation, and if it's got nothing to do with you, and if you end up finding yourself involved in it, just find out the proper information, like get your facts right, and calm down and that, and think before you do anything.
Walk away. I bet you've heard it takes a big man to walk away. It really does take a big man to walk away. Don't react or ruin people's lives. Just walk the other way.
I just think people should just really understand that one punch can just totally devastate people's lives, totally, from, you know, someone dying or being left in a wheelchair. Please just think that when you do throw that punch could be change the rest of your life and somebody else's, and it's not just their lives, it's their families. So you don't realise how much it affects everybody. You always think it'll never happen to you, and you hear about these things, but it does. It happened to us, and we're just normal, everyday working class people who went about our business, and, you know, that one punch is a life changer.
The victim is now living semi-independently, supported by carers. He continues to have medical issues. He hopes to work for a head injury charity to increase awareness and prevent this from happening to others. The young person is working 2 jobs. He has not been involved in any further offending and is about to move into his own flat.
I think the power of the restorative justice is the fact that you're facing the person you've caused the harm to, and for the victim, the fact that you've got that person, because the court system doesn't allow that conversation, that two-way conversation to take place. It's lawyers speaking on behalf of everybody. From the victim's perspective, they can get answers to questions that they have that they wouldn't get any other way. From the young person's perspective, they have to face firsthand the impact of what they've done, and not because of something that's written down on an A4 sheet of paper, but directly from the person they've harmed. And I think that is massively powerful in itself.